So listen, social media can be a powerhouse of awareness for plumbing companies. And if you're not using it at all, there's a really good chance that you're leaving some long-term money on the table. I know it's difficult to harness, and there are a lot of platforms and types of posts that you can do. So let this be a little bit of a guide to help you get farther on social. And stay tuned at the end for a little extra tip on just how to make sure people will actually see your posts. So step one, you need to define your personality as a plumber. Listen, you're most likely to attract people who are similar to yourself, and your business is a reflection of you. So you might as well leverage who you are in your own social content. It's important to ask, what kind of plumber are you? Are you witty? Are you professional? Are you jokey? Are you irreverent? You can be all of these things. There's an audience for just about everything. The big key is to make sure that you are engaging. And there's no real wrong answer. The big difference is you're going to have different voices for different people, and that's okay. But keep in mind that your market will help determine how you want to come off. A commercial plumbing company is going to be different than a residential plumbing company by a lot. Step two, determine the frequency of your posts. We like to see at least 3 posts go out every week because that shows people that the page is active and there's things happening and they care about what their business is doing and how it's perceived. You're not trying to catch people the minute they have a problem. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get ahead of their problem so that way when they do have one, it goes straight to you. And that's why we want to make sure that there's enough content to feed that demand. But listen, it's also important that you understand you've only got so much energy, you've only got so much time. By all means, please batch and schedule your posts. When it comes to the frequency, that's going to save you a ton of time and effort. Pick your platforms. There are certain platforms that will do video and static images. There are some that do stories, some that do reels. What I suggest you do is pick the one that you can manage the best. And that means the platforms within the platform. If you think that you can hop on and do a story every day, by all means do it. If you want to schedule out a batch post of photo posts and have them cross-post across, Instagram, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, and Twitter, do that. You get a lot of reach out of that little bit. But it's important to understand what you're going to do instead of just waking up that day and deciding, I'm just going to pick. And then it provides consistency to your audience so that way you start building in the right place over and over again, and they can start to depend on you, and so will the platforms and the algorithms in order to push you there. Write your posts for engagement. Mistakes that I see people do is they start talking about plumbing. Your customer doesn't really care about plumbing. If their pipes weren't having a problem, or their dishwasher didn't break, or their toilet wasn't overflowing, they would not give a second thought to any of those. Your job when you're a communicator, when you're a marketer for your own business, is to make sure that you're talking to the customer about what matters to them in a frame that works for them. And remember that people go to social media platforms purely for entertainment and engagement. So please be entertaining, be engaging. And that means sometimes not even talking about plumbing, but just talking about the person who is possibly looking at your posts. Schedule your posts monthly. We like to batch posts so that way we can set them up, get them going, and we don't have to think. Like I do that with my own stuff. My team does that with their client stuff. It's vital that you realize that you can spend 2 hours, get it all done, and then you're done for the month and you don't have to think about it. You might want to check in and see if you got any comments, likes, or shares and be engaging with those posts, but you're not waking up that day and going, I wonder what I'm going to post about. It's when you start getting into the point where you just don't post anything. And that's no good for anything. Don't worry about overposting. What we offer clients and what I'm recommending to you is really a foundational strategy. Some people get really nervous about being too aggressive on social or being seen too many times, but I'll tell you what, the person that is seen more than anybody else in the market, they get the phone call. They're the ones who get the job, they get the revenue, and then they get the customer, usually for the lifetime of the customer. They're the ones that win overall in the marketplace. How loud you are matters a lot. There's almost no risk of you accidentally doing too much. You might hear even from a few people, man, I see your posts all the time. I think you should cool it. Well, there's likely thousands of other people in the market who are your demographic who have not heard of you yet. Keep posting. Unless you're doing more than 4 a day, I really wouldn't worry about it. And now here's a little bonus tip for social media for plumbing companies. This one is a biggie. You have to remember that your reach on your posts is only 3 to 6% of your entire follower base, right? So if you got 1,000 people, you're only gonna reach 30 to 60. And then you're gonna have to hope that your posts are so great that they wanna share them, which is why you write for engagement. However, if most of the time they aren't going to be, most of the time people don't wanna share the things that come from a company. So how do you get around that and amplify your content? You probably guessed it. It's spending money and turning them into ads. You can do that through the boost button, or even better, you can do that through an ads account where you can get some hyper-end, like high-end targeting metrics and abilities in order to really leverage the content. And that's the best way to get your company out on social media. A lot of people end up overestimating how much reach they get on their organic, which is the free stuff without turning things into ads, and they underestimate how cheap ads can be. You know, sometimes you're looking at $8, $5 to $8 for an extra 1,000 views on your posts. That's great, but you also need to realize that you need frequency in order to build that. So it's a bit of a game, but what I recommend is that you set aside a budget and spend that budget consistently on your social media. Does it have to be everything of your marketing budget? No, and it shouldn't be. But it should be enough to where you are hitting people at least once a week within your core audience. So look at the frequency numbers. And if you need to talk about marketing a plumbing company, guess what? I have an agency that has a whole program just for plumbers. Anyway, hope this was helpful. Use these tips. If you want to find out more about us, go to mammothforplumbers.com. That's where we live, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.